Today's edition of the RD to RD live show. I'm Megan Boitano, the founder and owner of RD to RD, and today I'm welcoming Krista Ulatowski on as our special guest. So we're talking about creating a product promotion plan. And for those of us who are creating digital products or even services or events, whether you're doing a webinar or a workshop or you're creating an ebook, marketing your product is a huge component of success. So a little backstory, I actually have been working with Krista, full disclosure, as a client. So I hired Krista to help me market RD to RD, and it's really brought while I'm a knowledgeable registered dietitian, I am not an expert in marketing or creating, I think, healthy hype for my product and my business. So it's really been helpful for me to have somebody who understands how to do that to guide me along the way. It's still a lot of work, but it's also been very educational and helpful. So I wanted to bring Krista on and have her share a little bit about her background and then also how to promote products. So Krista, would you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself, your career pathway? Because I know we're on a little bit of a tight timeline today, so I want to make sure we jump right into the good stuff.
Sounds good. And first of all, well, thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. And Megan, I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. You're extraordinaire now. You've got a wealth of knowledge here. So great resource.
Kick us off and tell us a little bit about.
All right. So just diving into a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I'm in a very curvy pathway to get where I am today. I started in advertising after my undergrad. That didn't last very long. It was kind of in the tech boom bust. And then kind of got sucked into I think I want to be an attorney. Yeah, no. So I spent a few years working at various law firms as a legal assistant. So I was still creating some, marketing communications, but it wasn't really for me. So I went back, I joined a PR firm where I bounced around to a couple of different PR firms in Minneapolis and in Seattle. I was doing mostly tech PR. And I knew that I liked the PR and the comms but again, the content, the technology, not really my bag. Was way more interested in working with the consumer team on like the grocery store stuff. Can I hop over and join your team? So went back and got my master's in nutrition here in Seattle. And within a year of graduating, opened my own business. So it's KUcumbers or Cucumber Nutrition Communications. And what I do is I work with dietitians, I work with food companies, commodity boards, food brands, to help them promote the good things that they're doing.
I didn't know that about your background, about the diversion into the legal world. And, I think the farther we get along in our career, the more we start to understand that it's going to be windy and that we're probably going to switch things up a few times. And so I love hearing people's stories about how they got to where they are, because it isn't never a straight line.
Yes, yeah. You've had a number of second career dietitians on, so.
Yes, we do. I think it brings a certain level of wisdom that we don't necessarily have if we haven't had a little bit of a windy course. So
yeah, agree.
So let's dig right in and talk about. Sometimes we bring up topics and everyone nods along. Oh yeah, a product promotion plan. I know what that is, and it's sometimes industry jargon. So when we're talking about what exactly are the elements of this promotion plan, what are we actually talking about?
Loaded question. So I think to take a step back, first of all, there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, you can think of promotion as a piece of a broader marketing plan, right? So you've got marketing, you've got this broad umbrella. And if you go back to like marketing 101, you've got the four P's, right? Going back to the basics, you've got product, place, price, and promotion. So when I think about when you wanted me to come on and talk about promotion, I was thinking, okay, it's a little bit more targeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do in terms of promotion rather than the big marketing strategy and topics? So when we're thinking about promotion, you've either got that product or service in the works, like we were just chatting about, never too early to start thinking about promotion, or you've got that product or service ready to go. So it's just about starting to get the word out, right, to your consumers, your audience, and differentiating too, right? How are you seeing that from the competition?
Correct.
So
if we've got, so as I'm, looking at, let's say I market my practice, but I'm thinking about writing, let's say, an ebook. I hear often that people, whether they write recipes and they want to put together in a cookbook, or they're an expert on a certain aspect of nutrition, and let's say they want to write an ebook. So when we are starting to maybe work on writing that book, what are we starting to think about as far as how to promote and build that excitement? Like, this is kind of a weird area. Like, I don't know how to do that.
What goes in it? Exactly. And when I think it's just important to start generating those ideas, right? Like, just open up a Word doc, start tossing some ideas up there in terms of how you think you could promote it, right? When people hear marketing plan or promotional plan, they think, oh my God, it's got to be 50 pages and glossy and beautiful and shiny, and it's going to take me 2 years to write my plan. No, just, a one pager, whatever. Just get some ideas up there. Run it past somebody. So, but yeah, never too early to start thinking about it. And I think, to your question earlier, Megan, just about like what goes in this, the elements for promoting, they're so varied, right? So you could think about advertising as an element. You could think about public relations and media relations as an element. There's social media, right? There's email marketing. There's search engine marketing or digital, video marketing, and on and on. So those are some of the biggies just to start thinking about in terms of topics and promos.
I think that's where it gets a little bit overwhelming. To think about all the ways you could market and what's feasible for you. And I know when we were, did some work together, that having that in even just a calendar to say, okay, you're launching this product on this day. We're going to start, let's say, 4 weeks back, and you're going to send out an email blast, and you're going to put 3 things out on social media. And that putting it in that calendar format for me helped. I was like, oh, now I can see, I can see how it's actually going to play out versus feeling kind of overwhelmed. I got to make a video, and then I need to create some social media graphics. That you can actually look at the plan and say, right, I can't make a video, or, what's realistic, or what's the most important part. So do you think the calendar is something that's a good tool? Or
I do. I think a calendar, whether, whatever device you use for calendaring, or something like Trello, I really love that one. So having that online, and it's free, so or at least there's a free version.
In the community and dietitians selling digital goods, we were just talking about Trello just today, and I think it's definitely a tool that I see trickling up that more people are using, and it's just really powerful. So you've said it again. So for those of you listening in, I think Trello should be something you should look into.
Yeah, exactly. It's just good with reminders. I think it's more visual. You can, collaborate with others on it as well. So it's a good platform.
Would it be a tool you could use to encapsulate kind of your plan for a product launch? Would that be
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And again, whatever, platform or device you're using, I think it just kind of helps in terms of spacing things out, right? Seeing what's realistic, like you said, but also, kind of prevents you from bumping up all your promos right towards, okay, now it's, launch date, and I'm going to do one this day, this day, this day, and then you kind of overwhelm your audience.
Correct. That's a good point. So how do you select a way? So you were just giving us this big list of the ways you could potentially market, your product or services, or whether it's an ebook or an e-course or whatever. how do you go about saying this product? How do you go about selecting the best methods?
Exactly. And you know what? I wish there was like the magic plan where you could just say, here you go, and talk that, to everybody and let them fly. But, then no business would fail, right? It's just everybody would know what to do. I think it's just finding what works for you, giving yourself just some of that space, being patient, but also just testing things out to see what works and what sticks too. You might have a promotion with a discount code that flops for whatever reason, and then you might have one where you tweak your numbers a little bit, offer maybe a bigger discount or something for a limited period of time, and it does beautifully. So you never know. But I think the important part is just a couple of things. One is just really knowing your audience, who you're going after. You really hammered on this in the Love It and List It boot camp.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Super, super important. But also the evaluation piece as well. So once you're done, stepping back, analyzing, did it work? Did it not work? Crunching the numbers if you have data. So
that's really, we did talk about in the boot camp that I ran, I think that identifying who your target audience is. And I think, that is really important to do that prior to really even launching into your product promotion plan, because it's going to be easier to write that compelling content, and we've also talked about, selling versus really being attracting people. Nobody wants to feel like that used car salesman, right? That when you're writing the copy, that it's resonating with the right people, because one, who they are, and two, kind of what they need to hear. So I think we talked about that last week with our last guest, that I think it's difficult sometimes to feel salesy. And so that would kind of take us into that. How do you, how do you get, hype without being that used car salesman person?
Right. I know. Yeah, I actually have that as one of my challenge points, right? Things that you don't want to do is come off as overly salesy. I mean, right? People don't want that. There was a quote that I found that I actually really like. Seth Godin, he's an author. And I was looking at this the other week, but he said, anticipated, personal, and relevant advertising always does better than unsolicited junk. So again, it just kind of ties in knowing your audience, having that conversation with them, engaging with them. It's going to be more well received if you're establishing an emotional connection with somebody, instead of just, here's 10% off. So it's tough. And I think striking a balance too between maybe offering some sort of discount and thinking about ways to be more thoughtful. Whether you've got people promoting on your behalf in terms of referrals or reviews or just other things. It doesn't have to, promos don't always have to be based on price alone.
Right.
So, finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So what other struggles? I know personally, for me, I find this balance of trying to get new things going, whether I'm everything from writing a blog post to creating a new product, to balancing that with promoting. We're just talking about in the community today, what percentage of my time should be spent pumping out new content or new things versus really promoting what I've already have in the works. And I think that there's only so many hours in the day and time that we have, and should we be how much time should we allocate to promotion versus maybe where we're more comfortable, which is the content creation or product creation.
Right. And that's a tough one to answer. I think it's different for everybody, right? I don't have a percentage in terms of, you should definitely be promoting X, number of hours or X percent per week or whatever. So, it's whatever, you're comfortable with, what time you can dedicate to it, and where you're seeing a return as a result of the effort that you're putting into it. Yeah.
So when you go to, someone reaches out, whether it's a brand or a registered dietitian, what are the first couple of things that you look to evaluate kind of how where they can get better? Like, where do you go first?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, kind of how I operate when I get inquiries like that. I definitely check out the website and blog. I'm surprised by how many people, dietitians, or even some food companies who don't have blogs for whatever reason. And then I head to social. Where are they present on social? How many followers, likes, how engaged are they? Just across the board. So, and then what I tend to do is I have just an initial call, half-hour consult with the potential client, just to kind of walk through those things, or where are they feeling challenged, right? How are they currently marketing? What are their sales goals? And then I can offer things like, oh, I can do a web audit for you, or, oh, I can manage social media for you, or, oh, I see an improvement or opportunity for you to do X, Y, Z. So different things like that. Yeah.
Right. So, if you've got a book, you want to launch a book, you could say, someone could potentially say, I want Krista, you to manage these elements of the promotion plan, or, maybe, more of consultative, like how, helping me write certain key messaging. So I think as a business owner, I think it's really difficult to, I'm not a huge company. I don't have a, PR. Like, what does that relationship look like? And for me personally, as I've kind of navigated this over the last very short, let's say not even 9 months since I've launched this, is figuring out, what does that relationship look like? I don't even know to say, I need some help with marketing, but I don't have the experience of ever really having worked with someone who's an expert in marketing. And it feels sometimes really difficult to just know what to ask and how to get the help that you need. Does that make sense to me? And I think in our initial conversations, it took me a while of even talking with you to figure out, like, what I even needed. I felt like a total fool at first because I was very scattered. And I think that as a business owner, you don't, that is part of the figuring it out part. But for you, is that something you commonly see with registered dietitians versus maybe larger food companies? Or what is that? Am I alone in my struggle?
No. Those are the first words I was just going to say. You're not alone. You're not, unique in that. So, no, definitely. Because I think, when, like, for example, when you and I started working together, you said, okay, maybe we work and we try these 3 months back to back. Right. But you have different things going on, right? So you did the boot camp a little bit later. So it's flexible based on, who needs what at what time. So, I think as a marketer for, what I do, it's just trying to meet you where you are. I'm not going to push anything upon clients. So sometimes we work on a project basis. Sometimes we do, longer term relationships, or sometimes it's, let's start out and test the waters for a few months and then see how we do and go from there. So it's very flexible in terms of trying to help dietitians and food companies get to where they want to be.
Right.
On your time frame.
Yeah. I think it's kind of when you say, I know I need help, but I really don't even know what I need help with. And I think some of that is navigating, where is my zone of genius? What am I really good at? And what am I not so good at? And I think for me, that evolution over the last, however many months is, I want my business to be successful, but I can't possibly be good at every element that my business needs. And so there's certain things which I can do and that maybe I like to do, but there's some things that I literally can't do. Like, I'm just not going to get good at it, and it's not maybe the best, investment of my time or skill set. And I think for some people, they're complete whizzes at marketing or social media or other aspects of their business. But I think all of us taking kind of that look, at ourselves. One thing that, as I said, I have gotten better, but it's also been through some, I would say, observation of others and just trial and error, failing a little bit. It's not always a bad thing.
Exactly. Learn by doing, and just, again, if you don't have the time, just who can help you, right?
Yeah.
Who does have that expertise?
Yeah. So we kind of skimmed over a little bit the challenges and struggles that you often see that people have when they're getting ready to get back to this product promotion plan. What do you typically see that, mistakes or learning moments that you see?
Yeah, the teachable moments. So I touched on this a little bit. I think one of the things, as you're thinking about creating your plan, or as you're putting these elements into place, kind of starting to execute on them, a lot of time, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes I see things missing a call to action, right? So maybe I'm looking at an Instagram photo, or I'm looking at an e-newsletter that I just got from somebody, and I'll get to the end and I'm like, this question in my head is, what do you want me to do with this as a result, right?
Right.
Thinking about that.
So if you're talking about a call to action, I think if you're writing an email marketing, what does a good call to action look like? What is that?
Yeah, no, good question. So again, your promos are going to take different forms, whether it's based on price, right? Like click here for this promo code, or click here if you're interested in receiving samples. Click here if you want to partner with us on XYZ. Click here to RSVP for my upcoming open house. So different things like that, or getting them talking, getting them, asking for comments and feedback, that sort of thing too. But really think about how it's going to affect your bottom line and financially, the things that are going to make money for you. Yeah.
Right. And what are your thoughts on newsletters versus kind of single email, like one topic, one call to action in that message? Because I've seen some banter back and forth about how effective is kind of a generic newsletter. Is it good for relationship building versus kind of a very focused, not a salesy email, but that it goes in with a specific action that you maybe want to have people take as part of that message?
Yeah, I have clients who do both. I have clients who they just, they're not just, but they're steady with their regular rhythm of newsletters. Maybe it's once a week or less often than that. And then I have clients where they don't have a regular newsletter, but they've got a promo coming up, or they want to highlight someone on the blog, and they, send out a few blasts per month. Both of them work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that it isn't so prescriptive, right? The consistency, more than anything, like being consistent, right? And getting something out to the people on your email list, your social media.
Exactly. And I was going to say that's another opportunity, right? It's just that consistency, having that engagement, but not overwhelming them either.
Right. So that product promotion plan, kind of mapping it out, right? Early, looking at from email to, social media, your website. That seems like a lot of work, right? So how much, how do you approach, kind of, I don't want to say recycling content, but basically making it easier to cover all of your bases? How do you kind of start, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, not feeling like you have to do it all. Your audience might not be on 5 different social media platforms. So, just focus best you can. I think having a platform where you can plan, whether it's Trello or Hootsuite or Buffer or something for your social media, is helpful too. So, different things that can just kind of help you plan and prep.
Right. That's a really good point. So I know I'm going to be cognizant of time, but making sure that, people who are interested in maybe connecting with you about, services that you offer or more information about tools and resources, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit my website. So it's KUcumbers.com, and that's with a K. And or just email me, Krista at KUcumbers.com.
Awesome. Because I think The one thing which I've enjoyed, at least about working with you, is that because you are a registered dietitian, I don't have to explain to you what I do. And that's really hard sometimes. Dietitians are very different. We're a different breed, I don't want to say. And that sometimes getting over that barrier of really understanding what I value, like there's certain, I think like a common thread that connects us as a community of registered dietitians, how we see the world. And I think that alone has been really valuable, because we can get to things quicker that maybe, if I had to explain that to somebody else, it would be more difficult.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I know you've got another engagement coming up here, and make sure you go and visit KUcumbers.com, which is with a K, and I love that branding, by the way, KU, Cucumbers. It's an awesome selection. And check out Krista on social media. She often provides a lot of great quotes and tips for you, and you can actually see various work that she's done and maybe even brands that she's working with. It's a great way to get some inspiration for your own marketing plan. So thanks again for coming on the live show, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Megan.
Yep.